A Bug's Life is pretty far into the season, but it's essential to see before we hit our next 2 episodes. After all this time without comment, we finally learn what those 2 things on Dargo's chest are for. At first it seemed like it was some kind of piercing or warrior-related markings or tool. Now we see that they are, in fact, rings affixed to his collarbone so he can be chained into place more securely. This is not because he and Zahn are going to play some game of hide the tentacle, but actually as part of a plan by Crichton. There's a Peacekeeper ship approaching, and they've had a few run-ins with them over the season. To deal with him this time, Crichton had the idea that he and Aaron could pretend to be the ones running the prison ship, so the escaped prisoners are now locked up to maintain the ruse. Then, once they've got the advantage, they'll ambush the Peacekeepers for a change. It's a Crichton plan, complicated and nobody likes it. 4 agents come aboard, most card-carrying members of the National Big Goddamn Rifle Association. Their leader is Captain Lorak, on a super-duper secret Peacekeeper mission. But when Crichton comes out dressed in a captain's uniform, he puts on his best impression of his idea of Crace. Put on an accent and act like an aloof douche. Well, that is exactly what's expected, because Lorak buys into it, but then assumes command of the vessel. So Crichton unleashes an army of DRDs with suppressive fire, making this the cutest damn assault since the Muppets Take Hamburger Hill. Crichton explains that he has neural control over the pilot, a process the Peacekeepers had been experimenting with, and so they're out here on a testing run to see how it works. Lorak agrees not to commandeer Moya, but insists that Crichton bring his crew and this crate of his to a secret Peacekeeper base that's out here in the uncharted territories. They obey for now. As they unload, Chiana shows up with refreshments, playing Captain Crichton's servant girl. Chiana had showed up just 3 episodes ago. She was originally supposed to die, but they liked her so much they kept her on the show. For that reason, her effect in the last 2 has been negligible, since no one knew that there was going to be this new character joining the cast. She's a Nabari, and like the rest, also a wanted criminal, though by her people and not the Peacekeepers. But unlike the others, it's not for a cause or false imprisonment. Chiana just kind of does shit without thinking about the consequences. She's not stupid, she's just somewhat immature when it comes to things she desires.
Well, that is a long time to be searching for something. I'm sure your captain's prize must be very valuable.
That's not for you to concern yourself with, honey.
Sometimes a small thing can have large repercussions. If the driver of Franz Ferdinand hadn't been momentarily lost, World War I would have likely been delayed and taken a different form. If a cat hadn't been so crappy when it was trying to scratch up a bird with its claws, the human watching him wouldn't have been inspired to create the cotton gin, which is considered by Benny to have been a contributing cause to the Civil War. It's been said that one of the Roman spies, observing a horse being bothered by some flies, was given the idea of how to get out into the off-limits area of Carthage that would help ensure Roman victory over their mortal enemy. You're about to witness something greater than all of them from an act probably even smaller, and nobody knows it.
Would you like... Oh! I'm sorry.
It's no problem.
Really?
No problem at all.
And there it is. You have just witnessed the event that will change the galaxy. Aaron uses the opportunity to chat with Lorak to try to get info out of him about what the Peacekeepers are doing out here in the uncharted territories. The others aren't so sure about risking that rather than just jumping them right now, but Crichton wants to continue because it's his plan and he gets to wear an important uniform. His very presence commands respect from those around him.
Let's go find Sparky before he screws this thing up.
Yeah, let's find him before you screw it up.
Baldy comes through unexpectedly, so everyone jumps back in their cells. But there's no time to chain Dargo back up, so he figures a good way to cover his ass, and something very therapeutic, is to play escaped prisoner and kick Crichton's ass. He's finally found a part of this plan that he actually likes. Erin continues to do her part, getting info about the crate, that it isn't exactly valuable because Lorak wants to get rid of it ASAP, and he's got a stun gun rather than the usual Peacekeeper kill gun or the really kill gun. All she knows for sure is that its destination is a scientific military installation, so whatever it is, it's so potentially dangerous that only an idiot would want to open it. Elsewhere, Chiana's plotting to open the crate using the imprint that she got off the food bar so she can create a duplicate key, and she arrives to find Rigel already looking over how to get the crate open. You can see now why their plans usually end with gunfire and a new enemy pursuing them. Her presence makes Rigel nervous, so he suggests she wear a bell around her neck.
Keep your fantasies to yourself, frog boy.
Fantasies? About you? Ugh.
They agree to a 50-50 split of whatever's inside, but it turns out to be a little yellow critter. Guess it's time to bring Solomon in to sort this out. They scatter as Baldy comes in, who, knowing how dangerous their cargo is, heads over and gets up nice and close to the contents, and soon spasms. When his buddy comes in, Baldy quickly shoots him and kills the little critter. And it seems Rigel isn't the only one to fantasize about Chiana. She's number one amongst possessed freaks, too. After he tongues her, she seems happy while he's confused, so she gives him a headbutt. Ain't love grand? It seems Lorac's team was out trying to capture an intelligent virus. At the moment, it can only exist in one person at a time, so it seems it went from Critter to Baldy to Chiana to disguise itself until it has enough time to create spores and spread. Luckily, Lorac's equipped with an impressively unconvincing toy gun. The craft of acting, having to act serious while obviously sporting something you'd pass over in the nickel bin at a flea market. They're going to have to hunt it down, which convinces Crichton it's time to end the charade.
This is a disaster, Crichton. It is a grave misfortune that that uniform did not fit me.
And this is from someone who once gave him pity sex, so as you can probably surmise, his plans aren't too popular. But that's not stopping him from breaking up a firefight between Lorac's team and Dargo. Oh, did I forget to mention that Dargo's sword transforms into a gun? It's quite ingenious. The blade splits so the beam can head down the center. Then you can use your other hand to brace and balance it by grabbing the razor-sharp blade. Think he wears those gloves for show? Without those, one blast and you'd spend the rest of the battle looking for your fingers. The problem they have is there's no test for this virus, only that once it leaves a host, it'll leave increased acidity in its wake, as well as a hallucinogen that makes them forget the experience of being possessed. With no way to test that, they're just going to have to go forward with the assumption that Chiana, that's the one who's actually possessed, is right about Rigel being possessed. Uh-oh. They pair up and go looking for the little guy, but he can hide in all those little DRD shafts, so it won't be easy, and there's a lot of mistrust.
You first.
You have the weapon.
You first.
Man makes a sound argument. I'm going to let you in on a little preview of later info. No massive spoiler or anything like that, but something that won't be clear until Season 2. The Peacekeepers are in a kind of Cold War with a power called the Scaran, hence the need for Lorac's mission. They want to take this virus, reprogram it so the infected are loyal to them, and thus have a way to turn the Scaran's own armies against them. Lorac tracks Rigel into a hidey hole and hits him with the Nerf gun, despite his protest that he's not infected. To cover its tracks, the virus then jumps from Chiana into Crichton, so if they question Rigel, it can't be caught inside her. He then discourages Zan from using her chemicals to work on a cure. It's a typical Crichton argument, I'll give it that.
And what if you don't? You might kill Rigel. You might think your magic pill worked, and then Rigel's up walking around the ship, coughing up spores, cats and dogs living together. No.
Aaron talks with Lorac a bit while he packages Rigel for transport, and he comments on how wasted her talents are working her current assignment, that she could work special operations like him with all the talent that she has. We don't know exactly what she's thinking. That's Aaron. If she's feeling guilty that she's going to have to betray and murder this man just doing his job, that she's thinking about what it'd be like to be a peacekeeper and now is, as he put it, wasting her talents out here, that she's wishing there was a way back. We don't know. But one thing that can be counted on, Erin does not let her feelings influence her judgment. Whatever's going on in her mind, one thing is certain. She's plotting the most effective means of killing Lorac and his remaining team. Crichton finds the tech member of the team looking over Zan's blend of 11 herbs and spices. They suspect she might be able to create a cure. So the virus uses Crichton to kill her and destroy the stasis gun. The first is obvious, but why the second? Why destroy a weapon that would be used to capture rather than kill? Well, two possibilities come to mind. One, it assumes Lorac will refuse to cut his losses and use lethal means, so that he will have to try to devise more complex means to capture it, giving the virus time. Or two, ironically, it would rather die than be controlled by others. I prefer two myself. Zan suspects something was up with Chiana, so she has her liquor bedspread. Don't worry, it was washed. Once. Probably. It's made of litmus, so the red streak indicates that Chiana was infected, but who could it be now? Maybe the guy at the helm increasing speed to reach the base faster, much to Aaron's surprise. The way he quizzes Lorac as he does so about his abilities subtly suggests an interest in him. The virus recalls information from those it infects, so it looks like it has nefarious plans in store, wanting to get to this base, wanting to know how to track. Is it possible it has macroscopic ambitions? Whatever the case, our heroes rush the bridge and nearly get blown away by the Peacekeepers, if not for the quick reflexes of Aaron. With his secret revealed, Virus Crichton attacks, but his strength is enhanced, so they have to dogpile him, meaning that any one of them could now have the virus once it's left Crichton. So that means everyone but Zan and Crichton are armed and unsure who the hell the enemy is.
We'll shoot at it if it starts shooting and kill it where it stands.
That's only mildly comforting, Aaron, since the virus will probably start shooting first.
So they put Zan back to work making the cure, while Crichton can only look on at the murder committed by his own hands.
Lighten up, you didn't do it.
Of all the things to assuage guilt over killing someone, lighten up is probably way down on the list. Right around, she probably had it coming, and why don't you just make another kid? As they slowly inject everyone, things get really tense. But it's revealed to be in Lirac. They hunt him down, but Aaron's taken hostage, and Baldy gunned down. The virus stabs Aaron and makes a run for it, but Dargo tells Crichton to stop him, because it can't infect someone who is already infected. Chiana's also immune, but all she got off of him was his ID strap. Crichton tracks Lirac back to the hangar, but tells Pilot to open the doors. What happens is significant for Crichton, and his words and attitude explain why. Until now, Crichton has never deliberately and knowingly killed sapient life. Now he uses Moya's starburst to ignite a fuel leak and destroy the pod, and while I wouldn't go so far as to say he enjoys it, he indeed seems satisfied. Yes, it threatened the galaxy, but more importantly, it's possibly fatally wounded Aaron's son. It drove him to kill against his will before, but now it has unwittingly driven him to do so willingly. Rigel's retrieved from the crate and thoroughly miserable. Not that Dargo cares.
You conspired to open that crate. Anything that happens to you now, you brought upon yourself.
I'm sure he has learned his lesson, Dargo.
Oh, I'm sure. A bug's life sows the seeds, but the beginning happens next time. For that reason, I'm not considering it essential viewing, and thus awarding this with recommended. Some good character material throughout, and especially important for Aaron, Crichton, and Dargo. Dargo destroys his chains as a symbolic gesture that he will never allow himself to be locked up again. Aaron seems to have had a temptation, or perhaps a pining for, her old life, especially given her comment that when Lirac missed her heart, she said he was closer than Crichton thought. As for Crichton, it's hard to tell, but he might be blaming himself for what happened to her, and it'll explain a lot more of what we'll see next week in Nerve.